Welcome back, folks, to the C Files. This is going to be a Christian Reads the Quran, the next installment. I think this is going to be number 22. And I'm going to keep this one to 20 to 25 minutes because of I have only um about 92, no, about 52 minutes before I have to head out the door and go somewhere. And I've got a reading to do after this one. And so I'm going to get right into it and get going on this one. About 20 minutes is where I want to stop. So here we go. When we left off the last time, we were in Surah 4, and I believe I'm going to say husbands as providers and guardians. That's where I'm going to pick up on. I'm pretty sure I did Inheritance Law 5, contentment. Maybe I'll do that one again just to be sure. So this will be chapter 4, verse 32 to begin with. Um, Now, remember, I'm reading from a Christian perspective. I'm reading to learn more about Islam from the source materials. And do not crave what God has given some of you over others. Men will be rewarded according to their deeds, and women equally according to theirs. Rather ask God for his bounties. I do remember reading this because I immediately said when I read that God does not have bounties. He owns everything. So it makes me wonder what their thought process was when they were trying to understand their perception of God. That he a God that would that would need bounties or would be able to collect bounties is a God that is a God little g in comparison to the God of Christianity, just a small God. Surely God has perfect knowledge of all things, and we have appointed heirs to what has been left by parents and next of kin. As for those you have made a pledge to, give them their share. Surely God is a witness over all things. Now we move on to husbands as providers and guardians. Men are the caretakers of women, as men have been provisioned by God over women and tasked with supporting them financially. Okay, so in some modern Islamic countries, women are not allowed to get an education. They're not allowed to work. They're not allowed to have a means of providing for themselves. It's wholly depending upon the man for all of that. And I can see probably from this where that would come from. If you look at the Proverbs 31 woman in the book of Proverbs in the Bible, she's working and even making business deals in that proverb. Um, so that's a contrast to this. And righteous women are devoutly obedient and, when alone, protective of what God has entrusted them with. And if you sense ill conduct from your women, advise them first. If they persist, do not share their beds. And of course, it's conduct according to all of the laws and rules and religious legalism of Islam, right? Made up rules is what I would see them as. Nothing that really came from God. And if you sense ill conduct, and that upsets Muslims when you say things like that. It really does. But that's my perspective on it. And if you sense ill conduct from your women, advise them first. If they persist, do not share their beds. But if they still persist, then discipline them. But if they change their ways, do not be unjust to them. Surely God is most high, all great. And so the videos that have come out of women being beaten by men in Islamic countries, and they're like covered head to toe in their garb. This verse would be one of the verses I imagine would be pointed to as, yeah, women have to be disciplined, right? Like you discipline a child. But what does the Bible say? Ephesians chapter 5, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. What does that mean? Treat them gently, love them, be good to them. And if they're walking away from the Lord or they're rebellious against the Lord, pray for them, gently try to teach them, help them to come back to the Lord. But you don't, this is abuse. You don't beat them. This is abuse. This would be domestic violence in the United States. Under U.S. law, this form of discipline of a wife or a girlfriend and having a relationship with that man is considered domestic violence. It's a felony, and the man would go to prison. And that's why Sharia law is not compatible with U.S. constitutional law. Reconciling married couples. If you anticipate a split between them, appoint a mediator from his family and another from hers. If they desire reconciliation, God will restore harmony between them. Surely God is all knowing, all aware. The kind, the stingy, and the insincere. Worship God alone and associate none with him, and be kind to parents, relatives, orphans, the poor, near and distant neighbors, close friends, needy travelers, and those bondspeople in your possession. Surely God does not like whoever is arrogant, boastful, those who are stingy, promote stinginess among people, and withhold God's bounties. We have prepared for the disbelievers a humiliating punishment. Likewise, for those who spend their wealth to show off and do not believe in God or the last day. Whoever takes Satan as an associate, what an evil associate they have. Once again, out of 37, those who are stingy promote stinginess among people and withhold God's bounties. So Muslims are paying bounties to God. That's not a God that I would want to worship. In the Bible, it's free will giving. It's giving from the heart. God says, I don't want the person who gives out of a religious duty. I want the person who gives out of the goodness of their heart, out of the desire of their heart. This is a religious duty. This is just religious. I mean, who do you pay a bounty to? Those who were captured, right? If you think about a pirate capturing a ship, they, there's a bounty paid to the pirates by the ship that's captured. Hmm. Divine justice. What harm could have come to them if they had believed in God and the last day and donated from what God has provided for them? And God has perfect knowledge of them. Indeed, God never wrongs anyone, even by an atom's weight. And if it is a good deed, he will multiply it many times over and will give a great reward out of his grace. All right. Witnesses on Judgment Day. I'm gonna stop there because we have footnotes, and I don't want to skip over the footnotes, and we're going to be short on time. So let me read the footnotes from the page I just read. 189. Which one is that one? That has to do with inheritance, law, and contentment. This pledge was a common practice before Islam between friends and allies, taking oaths to inherit each other. Oh, they're talking about the inheriting of people, which I found issue with. This practice came to an end with the revelation of verse 875 of the Quran. I read that before. I remember reading that in the last time. Okay, let's go down to where it's talking about their husband's honor about the marriage. Um, what in the world was that? Oh, that was I see what that was. Okay. All right, something startled me in the back there. All right, let me see. 190. That's what I was looking at. Where is 190? Okay, this has to do with husbands as providers and guardians. Their husband's honor and wealth. When it's talking about men are the caretakers of women, as men have been provisioned by God over women and tasked with supporting them financially. So 191 deals with the same subject. And if you sense ill conduct from your women, advise them first. If they persist, do not share their beds. But if they still persist, then discipline them. Let's see what all that. Now, I want to see the footnote on this one. Disciplining one's wife is the final resort. It's if it's physical, it's a crime in the United States. If it's verbal, uh, emotional abuse, there's still an issue. The earliest commentators understood that this was to be light enough not to leave a mark. It's still battery. You're still striking. You're not loving a wife by striking her that way. The earliest commentators understood that this was to be light enough not to leave a mark. That doesn't excuse it. Should be done with nothing bigger than a toothstick, and should not be on the face. Prophet Muhammad said to his companions, "Do not beat the female servants of God." He said that honorable husbands do not beat their wives, and he himself never hit a woman or a servant. If a woman feels her husband is ill behaved, then she can get help from her guardian or seek divorce. Then why do we see these videos of men beating Islamic or Muslim women in these Islamic countries with these rods? And how are you going to do anything with a toothpick? Sometimes I wonder about these commentaries. Just like I don't accept all the commentaries, like in the Scofield Bible, in the Bible, all those Scofield notes and commentaries, I found many of them to be fallacious and flawed. That might be true of the Quran as well. All right. Witnesses on Judgment Day. Let's see, where am I? Let's go divine judgment. Where am I? Okay, I got 14 minutes. Okay. We're at 9:22. Divine justice. What harm could have come to them if they had believed in God and the last day and donated from what God has provided for them? And God has perfect knowledge of them. Indeed, God never wrongs anyone, even by an atom's weight. And if it is a good deed, he will multiply it many times over and will give a great reward out of his grace. All right, there's 192 as a footnote, the smallest particle of dust. Yeah, that's an atom. Okay. Witnesses on Judgment Day. So, how will it be when we bring a witness from every faith community and bring you, O prophet, as a witness against yours? On that day, those who denied God and disobeyed the messenger, I guess that would be the messenger of Islam, will wish they were reduced to dust and they will never be able to hide anything from God. Footnote of 193. Prophet Muhammad asked one of his companions, Abdullah ibn Masud, to recite some verses of the Quran for him because he loved to hear it. He loved to hear it from someone other than himself. Abdul recited from the beginning of this chapter until he reached verse 42. When he was told he may stop, Abdullah said he looked at the face of Prophet and saw tears rolling down his cheeks. Oh, okay. What? Uh, let's see. Okay, let's go to purification before prayers. O believers, do not approach prayer with intoxicated. Well, let's try it again. O believers, do not approach prayer while intoxicated until you are aware of what you say, nor in a state of full impurity. Impunity. Impurity. Yeah, it's impurity. O believers, do not approach prayer while intoxicated until you are aware of what you say, nor in a state of full impurity. Unless you merely pass through the mosque until you have bathed. But if you are ill on a journey or have relieved yourselves or been intimate with your wives and cannot find water, then purify yourselves with clean earth, wiping your faces and hands. May God is ever pardoning, all forgiving. More religious legalism. Warning against uh, deviance. This is 44. Is there any footnotes that I missed? I missed 195, looks like. Oh, the relation with the wife. Do not approach prayer while intoxicated until you are aware of what you say, nor in a state of full impurity. They're saying the full impurity has to do with after sexual intercourse or a wet dream. Warning against deviance. Well, I got another footnote. Hold on. 196. If you are ill on a journey or have relieved yourselves or been intimate with your wives and cannot find water, then purify yourselves with clean earth, wiping your faces and hands. And then footnote is 196. This ruling is called, oh boy, Taya Tayammum. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. I don't know Arabic. Or dry ablution or dry ablution. If someone cannot find water or is unable to use it because of illness or cold weather, then they are allowed to touch clean earth, sand, for as an example, with the palms of their hands once they blow in their hands. Once then, blow in their hands and wipe over their face and hands. It reminds me of when the Pharisees accused the disciples of Christ because they didn't do the ceremonial purifying of the hands when they went in to eat. And the Pharisees made a big deal of that, and Jesus rebuked the Pharisees because he's saying it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles a man, it's what comes out of the heart, what comes out of the mouth that defiles a man. And so the Quran is still stuck on this concept of Old Testament purification because the Quran does not understand the cross of Christ. Whoever wrote the Quran didn't understand the cross of Christ. I'm going to have to leave it here because we're at 20 minutes. And I've got to move on to the next reading before I take off uh, to go what I need to go do. And I am up against the clock. God bless you guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll have more. I got more coming on this. And I'll see you next time.